This week, the Rebels face their toughest task yet. Number 17, Boise State and Heisman candidate Ashton Jeanty come to Vegas for a Mountain West showdown. Why UNLV can win, while UNLV can lose. We're breaking everything down. Sin City Beat starts right now.
From Las Vegas, this is Sin City Beat.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us on Sin City Beat. I'm Mike Davis. Sin City Beat is the show that dissects the Vegas sports world through the eyes of the sports reporters and difference makers leading the charge. Joining the action today, we got Ray Brewer, managing editor of the Las Vegas Sun, Mike Grimala, sports reporter with the Las Vegas Sun, and a very special guest, Charles Chuck Wagon Williams, former running back with the Rebels and UNLV's all-time leading rusher. Great to have you guys with us. So it's a big week for UNLV football. The Rebels are coming off a critical win against Oregon State, the third Power 5 opponent they beat this year. That's a first in program history. So Mike Grimala, what do you think about the Rebels and their play this past weekend?
I liked what I saw. They, I thought, controlled most of the game against Oregon State. They didn't really have to deviate from their game plan. I thought an interesting point was Heisman Williams, I thought, struggled throwing the ball. They left some plays on the field. He's sort of inaccurate on some big plays that they had a chance to make, some specialty calls, throwing the ball down the field. He didn't hit them, and they still, put up 30-plus and rolled. So on days when he is accurate, and we've seen, when it's rolling and everything's clicking on all cylinders, they score a lot of points. On a day when it's not all quite going right offensively, they still score a lot of points and they win the game. So I thought that was maybe an interesting takeaway. Even when this quarterback who comes in and he's red hot and he's giving you new life, even when he's kind of not 100% hitting on all cylinders, you still rolled. So that's a good sign to me.
That's a good thing. And this, was one of the games that we were circling on the calendar. Of course, Boise State coming this week. But, Ray, when you think about last week, taking away from that game and how that can lead into this big matchup this week, and what do you think about that?
So I don't know if they rolled, as my friend Michael says. They only did win by 8, and they needed to stop them at the buzzer to preserve the win. But I like how UNLV found the way to win when it wasn't perfect. The Oregon State quarterback made a lot happen, was hot early. UNLV kind of weathered the storm a little bit, left some points on the field, had to settle for some field goals. It's great when your kicker gets special teams player of the week, but it might not be the best for the efficiency of your offense.
Right.
And I just think to beat Boise State looking ahead to this week, everything needs to be clicking. You can't leave points on the field. You can't settle for field goals. You have to contain the other team's quarterback, and you can't let a team hang around. You need to get that killer instinct, put them away, and move forward.
And that's probably and that's a good point, Ray, because that's the worst point. A part of this big win is the fact that if we play like this, Chuck, against Boise State, you're not getting the W.
No. And the biggest thing is like you said, you got to finish in the red zone. Those field goals kind of hurt you in the end of the game because now you got to play defense when you don't really have to. Like, that would have been an opportunity to get the game out the way. They were up by like 15, something like that, and they had a chance to win it at the end. And honestly, it could have been a pick six, though. We would have, had a different story. But honestly, they did a good job of just hanging in there. They held the offense to 77 yards in the second half. Shout out to the D coordinator, because that's not easy to do with the quarterback being hot in the first half, and he was very efficient throwing and scrambling too, because he had that 71-yard touchdown. And honestly, I was like kind of nervous because quarterbacks like scramble and everything, they can extend plays, and it's very hard on the defense to stay locked in for a long series or a long drive, because sometimes the quarterback just improvises and you can't control everything he does. So it was pretty good watching them get this win, though.
I'd be curious to get your take, Chuck, on the Heisman Williams' performance, the play, and just in general, the mentality of him having to come in after the whole Sluka kind of situation. Tell me a little bit about how you think he's played since that drama and what you expect from him for the rest of the season.
In my opinion, he's played pretty excellent, not turning the ball over too much. He's been very good with it, and he feels very comfortable in the offense. You can tell he's not looking around and stuff like that. He's ready to go next play, He's making sure everybody's locked in too. He has his veteran mindset where I have to lead. I have to do everything in my power to make sure the team believes in themselves and then me. So he's trying to put his best foot forward and go out there and do the best he can. And I feel like he's doing an amazing job, honestly, because just in the history of UNLV QBs, it hasn't been easy just coming right in.
Yeah.
So he's doing a really good job, in my opinion, especially with the schedule we had too.
All right, well, guess what? We got more stuff to discuss because just how good is this Boise State team? After the break, we're going to learn more about one of the hottest teams in college football.
You're watching Sin City Beat.
Ranked number 17 in the country with a record of 5-1. Their only loss, a 37-34 defeat to number 1 Oregon. Is it safe to say Boise State is perhaps one of the greatest group of 5 teams college football has ever seen? Ray Brewer, just how good are the Boise State Broncos?
Well, I mean, they are rated 17th nationally for a reason. Great running game. Great offensive line. I think we saw some highlights there coming in of just how last year they just really kind of moved UNLV out of the way a little bit. And just elite coaching, great defense. UNLV is going to have its hands full come Friday night because Boise State, they have just that history of being the Mountain West best team where everybody's striving to get up to them. And then to boot this year, they are just so good at so many spots, especially in the trenches. We talked about how I think offline, the running back was on a TV show saying how much he loved his fullback and his offensive line and how great they were. And that cannot be understated, is that Boise State is elite up front, and the result is what you're seeing their offense do.
Well, let's talk about Ashton Jeanty. Right now, a Heisman, not just a hopeful. I mean, this guy is a favorite. Chuck, as a former running back, tell us what you love about this kid and his game.
Honestly, it's just the fact that he never goes down easy. And I love that because he's just running with pure heart at that point, because some of the highlights you'll be like, oh, he's wrapped up. And then he breaks through. Or like they cannot bring him down. There's like 5-6 people trying to bring him down in the end zone. Like that shows that I want to just do more than the next guy. I want to do more than the opponent. I want to embarrass everybody. I want to embarrass their head coach, the alumni, all that. So what he's doing is just great for the running back position because it's bringing the value back. Because people overlook running backs and say, oh, we don't need them. We'll just do running back by committee. But you can't do that with everybody. Somebody's going to be that special breed, like where it's like Adrian Peterson. He's made in the lab. That's what you think. And when you see Ashton Jeanty, he's doing numbers to the point where Barry Sanders is going to start saying something sooner or later.
He's closing in on some of those records, and we saw that graphic up not too long ago. YPC, yards per carry, it's at 9.9. That means he's basically getting a first down. I mean, he's Mr. First Down. Now, I don't want to, listen, I'm going to brag for you, Mike Romala. You have a vote for the Heisman, right?
I didn't want to bring it up.
I'm going to say it for you because I love you, all right? You have a vote, my friend. We know Ray Brewer wants Dylan Gabriel over at Oregon. Why would you vote for Ashton Jeanty right now? And who would you vote? If you had to put your vote in today and cast that, who would you vote for?
It's got to be Jeanty. It's 10 yards a carry. He's on pace for 30-plus touchdowns. It's just unbelievable what he's doing. And these are not ordinary runs where they're opening a hole and he's running forward. It's bouncing off tacklers and maintaining his balance and then running for another 30 yards.
So you'd have to ask yourself.
They don't have a good offensive line.
No. You'd have to ask yourself, Michael, does a non-Power 4 player then qualify for the award? Because the competition in the Mountain West, no offense to the best runner in the history of the Scarlet and Gray, the Rebels, the UNLV, but the competition in the Mountain West is not.
What about the competition of the #1 team in the country? Because Boise State went to Oregon and he
lost by 3,
and he put up 200 yards, and they couldn't stop him either. Show me the defense in the NCAA that's going to stop him.
You guys are bickering
day in and day out, Michael.
You guys are bickering. Tell us, Chuck. Is there a difference? Do you think it takes something away from his talent, the fact that he's not in the Big Four?
It doesn't take away from his talent, but if he was to go out there and play against Bama or somebody like that, or Texas, one of those schools, and he did the same thing, there would be no questions about him being a Heisman front runner. But the biggest thing is, I don't think he has he has all the confidence in the world against any team, put anybody in front of him. So that's not the problem. It's just more us seeing it. He knows he can do it.
The speculators, the media, people like Ray Brewer.
The haters, you can say it.
Ray Brewer, I'm like most of America. I'm a realist. I know the difference between Alabama and Wyoming and Reno.
What do you think about Travis Hunter? That's another guy who's a non-quarterback who's up there in the Heisman,
So the thing that makes Travis Hunter special,
the two-way.
A, he's playing in a big league, but B, he's the best defensive back in college football, and he's also a top 5 wide receiver, and he's playing 110 plays a game, and when he doesn't play, Colorado is as bad as Wyoming. No offense to Wyoming. I know we're beating on them a lot today, but with Travis Hunter, they're 5-2. Without Travis Hunter, they're ordinary.
Right.
So he's a great player, never comes off the field, both sides of the ball.
Could you make that argument for Boise State without Ashton Jeanty? Are they ordinary?
If he was to sit out a game, we'll see like how much the offense produces without him. And if they were, not to skip a beat, it'd be like, okay, it's just the offense. But no, I think Ashton Jeanty is the key piece to that offense. Now, Travis Hunter, you can work around and you can go to Will Shepard, you can go to Webster, you can go to Jimmy Horn, and he'll still be fine. Shador will. And then on the defensive side, Colorado, their defense is not that great, so Travis Hunter does look better because he's making those spectacular plays on both sides.
What if he does it this week against UNLV, which I can tell you right now has the number 25 ranked run defense in the country. They hold opponents to 3.7 yards per carry. They just shut down Oregon State's running attack. They had one of the top running backs, Anthony Hankerson. They held him to 3.6 per carry, 61 yards. UNLV is a team that stops the run, among the best in the country. What if Jeanty comes in here and does it against UNLV? Then will you believe?
Michael, are you going to write a lead in your story for the kid winning the Heisman against UNLV's 25th ranked rush defense?
This is why I love this show.
Yeah.
By the way, your name's Mike Gramala. He keeps calling you Michael.
It is Mike. I'm the only one that calls him Michael.
It's like my grandmother calls me Michael.
Yeah,
it's getting personal here, and that's why we love Sin City Beat. But listen,
Raymond Brewer.
This is a big game, and a big game means big implications. Next, we're breaking down the meaning behind this showdown. Could it be the most meaningful game in program history? Welcome back to Sin City Beat. We're like throwing punches here. This is getting crazy over here on Sin City Beat. Number 17, Boise State comes to town Friday for a critical Mountain West showdown. And let's face it, the magnitude of this game cannot be understated. Ray Brewer. Chuck, as UNLV's all-time leading rusher, you know Rebel football really better than anyone. Do you think Friday's battle against Boise State is the most important game in Rebel football history?
Rebel football history all time. I would go with 85% yes.
Why?
Because after this game, we still got to keep going. We're trying to get into a playoff. We're not trying to we're trying to get into the playoffs and win. So the most important game is after we get in the playoffs. That's the most important goal right now, is getting into that playoff run and making a big run and possibly building a name for UNLV where people respect us.
I feel like this game could change everything, Mike Ramala.
It
I
can.
know you agree with me. What does this game mean? Tell everybody at home why this is such a meaningful matchup.
It's because before the college football playoffs, I would have said that last year's game at Air Force was the most important game because that was the arrival. It was sort of that's when things opened up and it became real. You can win the Mountain West. You can be the league champion if you win this game. This one was more expected. I think a lot of people who follow UNLV sort of expected to be in this game, in this position, playing Boise State here in the winner, has that inside track. But adding the college football playoff to it just elevates the stakes times 10.
The fact that there's now 12 teams.
Yes. And the group of 5 gets one spot. Boise State is currently the front runner. If UNLV wins this game, I believe UNLV will then be the front runner. And the loser is probably eliminated because they're probably not going to take a 2-loss Mountain West team. So you're kind of playing for that playoff spot, even though there are 4 games left after this. But it just makes the stakes so much higher because coming into this year, yes, you could envision UNLV competing for the Mountain West, but to make the college football playoffs, UNLV football in the college football playoffs, playing
First
Penn
time-
State or Alabama or
First
Georgia
time that
in
there's
round
12
one.
teams would be a huge thing. Ray, as you do so well, week in, week out, bring us down to earth. Tell us why. Give us the other side to this. Give us the Debbie Downer version.
There's not a Debbie Downer. There's some things to consider. First of all, that playoff is huge because the singular payout to be in that one game is going to be more revenue than the football team's brought in since, Chuck was running football for the Fresno youth football team as a 6-year-old. Secondly, this is going to be the most people at Allegiant Stadium for a UNLV football game.
Yes.
So yes, right now it rivals Arkansas Las Vegas Bowl, Arkansas to open the next season in 99-2000, but it could be the pathway to more. You're going to play in front of a lot of people. You do well, more people want to come back and watch you play. This is the third straight game that UNLV's 600 recruit tickets have all been accounted for. Think about that. And there's local kids, there's kids committed to other universities. They all love what UNLV's doing. They love how they're running the rock. They want to play at Allegiant Stadium. This is a gigantically huge game. And it's awesome. Now,
You did just say, though, to me, to explain to me the Reno part of this, because what did you just say to me?
The most important game every year, without question, is beating UNR. Don't call them Nevada, or we will no longer have conversation.
We're going to
UNR.
have to use the cannon on
Let
you.
me just ask you, can I ask you this? Is UNR ranked number 17 in the country?
Matter.
Nah.
It doesn't
How
matter.
so? I don't get that.
You live in Las Vegas,
it's
dude.
personal.
You don't like them. They don't like us. It's personal. As kids, we are taught to beat Reno in everything, and they're taught to beat us. They hate us. The legislature.
Let me just pose this. That's like saying, as an Eagles fan from back home in Philadelphia, I'd rather beat the Cowboys than win the Super Bowl.
Well, why not?
Why not win a playoff game?
Why not both? UNLV beats Boise State, and then they win their next two, and then that finale against UNR is UNR is playing to knock UNLV out of the college football playoffs. UNLV is playing to get in. That makes that rivalry game tenfold.
On the hierarchy,
so you can have it both ways.
Correct. On the hierarchy of things you want to accomplish every year, and I've never been inside the football program to see the blackboard with all this up. I'm sure Mount West champions or bowl eligibility, blah, blah, blah. But for us locals, us people that were born and raised, us people that watched UNLV win the basketball natty, that stormed the court when they beat North Carolina, that were at the rally for the Las Vegas Bowl against Arkansas, number one always will be, always has been, beating Reno. They get more public money than we do. They think they're smarter than us, and they walk around with this elitist mentality, which is complete garbage. And he knows it. He learned it as he came here. Now he's a Las Vegas resident. He agrees 100% with me. He's waving his head up and down, and it's the truth.
It's the fact that when you watch them pull that cannon on your stadium and start painting it blue, it's like somebody just slapping your mother, and you can't do nothing about it.
Yep.
Until next year.
It hurts,
I'm
man.
just going to say the panel came to play today on Sin City Beat. What else can I say?
It
The great
stays
Ray
red.
Brewer. Guys, listen, who's going to win this showdown? We've been talking about it all show long. It's time to talk predictions. We're going to talk predictions and matchups. How do you stop Jeanty? That's next. All right, welcome back to Sin City Beat. Well, the biggest game in program history, implications for the college football playoff. I'm getting butterflies just sitting here thinking about it. Now, UNLV Boise State could change the course of history. So how does UNLV match up to Boise State? Ray Brewer, finish this sentence for me. If UNLV wins on Friday, it will be because of blank.
Because of the inspiration they get from the home crowd, leading a defensive charge, and by playing relatively turnover-free, flawless defense, they cannot start slow like they did against Kansas and Syracuse and Oklahoma State. You need to come ready to play from the kickoff.
Mike, you said good answer. Tell us why you think that.
Because defense is the side of the ball that can absorb energy from the crowd. Offense, when you're out there, you sort of want your crowd to be quiet. You want to be, your movements are controlled and precise. Defense, you just want flying around in a frenzy, and you can draw energy from the crowd. That's what Barry Odom said in his press conference on Monday. I believe that as well. Big crowd, more energy on defense, swarm to the ball. You need 5 guys to tackle Jeanty. One guy in the hole is not going to do it. You need 5 guys hustling to the ball on every play. A crowd is going to help that. So that's why I agree with that.
Chuck, you are the all-time leading rusher in Rebel football history. How do you stop Ashton Jeanty? What should the game plan be to stop this dude?
From my perspective, I watched a little bit of film on him. Getting him east and west, kind of like Derrick Henry. You don't want him going north and south because he's very powerful. If you get him going sideways and making him do a cut where he's uncomfortable, it's more of a chance of you guys wrapping up and bringing him down compared to him coming down full speed on a power or a stretch where he has the ability to make you miss in the open field. And the biggest thing is open field tackling too. If it was a game where he has 25 carries for like 110 yards, I would live with that. He got his 100 yards, he probably has his touchdowns, whatever, but the fact that he's getting 25 carries and he's getting beat up, that means he's working for it. He might have a big run or two. Running backs tend to find one big play, in the game plan. There's going to be a play where he's going to get a big play. I'm not going to be surprised. But the biggest thing is just coming to the football. Like Mike said, 5 people have to come to him and tackle him. Or the biggest thing is you can just stack the box and let the quarterback beat you, in my opinion.
Is that what you would do from a game plan?
Yes, but the most important thing is not biting on the play action because Boise State is pretty good at play action. And the biggest thing with them is they'll use their tight ends, which is kind of like a soft spot for us because we're so worried about covering the middle of the field and the receivers and making sure that the intermediate routes are not being caught by the receivers. But then the tight end can take a seam route, corner route. So you have to be prepared for all phases. And special teams is another factor too. Boise State is very good, just like us, on blocking punts, kickoffs, and all that too. So just be ready, and we can't turn the ball over, like you said. Can't turn the ball over.
There you go, Chuck Williams. Chuck, thank you so much. Ray Brewer, Mike Ramal, listen, we loved having you guys here on Sin City Beat. Make sure you tune in next week. Let's go Rebs, and listen, could be the biggest game in program history. I don't care what Ray Brewer says, all right? Have a great week. Go Rebs. We'll see you next time.